AITA for being livid at my roommate for calling me an ambulance. Get ready to dive into the American healthcare system. People.
Can't wait.
So Thursday, I went to a party one of my friends threw. It was your pretty standard college party, and I got pretty drunk, yada, yada. When I went back to my house, I was stumbling around trying to get to my room. One of my housemates helped me to my room and told me to sleep it off, which I plan to do. I don't remember too much since I blacked out, but this is what some of my housemates told me. My roommate was in the room when I came in, and he said I kept falling off the bed and talking to myself. He ended up calling an ambulance for me, and apparently the EMTs forced me to go to the hospital and threatened to call the police if I didn't go. So I didn't have a choice. When I woke up in the hospital the next morning, the nurse gave me papers to sign and then let me leave. They also stuck me with a $1,000 hospital bill for the ambulance. Since I was basically dragged to the hospital, I left my keys and phone inside, so I couldn't get in. None of my housemates were home, so I ended up just waiting outside of the house for like an hour before one of them finally came back. On top of that, I missed my CAD class, computer-aided design class, which is
Did you just know that, or you looked it up?
Did you Google it?
I know what CAD is, all right?
I don't play this. Okay.
I went to college. I was absolutely pissed at my roommate for calling me an ambulance. Not only did I end up spending the night at some hospital, I got a G bill on top of it. It's one thing if I had alcohol poisoning or something like that, but I literally just slept at the hospital and left the next morning. The housemate who helped me inside was on my side. He said I was hammered, but it wasn't that bad, and I could have just slept it off. The roommate said he got scared and didn't know that they would take me to the hospital, but that just made me even more mad since there was like 5 other people in the house at the time, and his first reaction was to call the police rather than ask others. So, am I the asshole?
I guess I have a lot of questions. Like, OP is like, yeah, I totally planned to sleep it off. It's like, dude, you weren't planning anything. You were not like making rational thoughts.
You were an incoherent mess of a non-person.
Yeah, like you had no plans.
Of shit. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I wouldn't go that far.
On the other hand, like, what did the roommate think when he called an ambulance? Like, you didn't know it would take him to the hospital? You called for medical assistance. What did you think was going to happen?
And there's nothing you can do. Like, just make him pass out, drink water. Like, what is the doctor going to do?
Pump your stomach. So it's like, if you thought it was that severe that he needed to get his stomach pumped, like you did think that he would get taken to the hospital.
But if he's talking, even if it's incoherently, he's not passed out, you know? He'll be fine.
Exactly. I
think the asshole's the guy who ordered the ambulance.
Well, I think you hit on a huge point, which is that the person who called the ambulance is a idiot, because if somebody's talking, they're fine. Okay. Yeah. Because if you're at the talking point, your brain is still on, right? You're nowhere close to the we can't breathe anymore point. So, like, all this guy had to do was drink some water and probably keep him awake because, right, you don't want to throw up in his mouth and he drowns on his own vomit.
Stick him in the bathtub, pour a bucket of cold water on him, give him some coffee.
Right.
Do all the things, the stereotypical things. And then if he's freaking out, then maybe, but not, that's not,
I feel like I need more background on this roommate, because, like, do they have experience with drinking / drunk people? Like, you know?
It sounds like they just wanted to get rid of him. Like, I don't want to deal with this.
Interesting.
Let's have the ambulance.
I mean, to the roommate's credit, I looked it up on Mayo Clinic because I'm like, I don't know what the signs of alcohol poisoning are, aside from like, oh, your lips are turning blue. And it does say that alcohol can still be released from your stomach into your bloodstream even after you've stopped drinking. So maybe he was just like worried that it would continue to get worse.
Right. And I think that's the good beginning of a defense for this guy, because even though I think he was almost certainly wrong, we can imagine a situation where this guy is confused.
Right.
He's speaking incoherently, can't even sleep on a bed, not being able to sleep. How drunk are you?
I know,
you can't sleep?
Also, like, falling off the bed is definitely like, what's going on there?
And talking to yourself, like, that sounds like a mental problem. That doesn't sound like you're drunk.
So he's that drunk. So we'll just call that probably like a 0.15 or something like that, like extreme inebriation, not at the threshold of dangerous. I mean, I forget what it gets you.
I don't know. I was like, what is like the point at which you die? Because isn't it 0.08 is like the legal limit?
Yeah, what? 0.08 is nothing.
0.08 is just you can't drive.
Yeah, that's the arbitrary legal. There's people who can have 0.08 and I would trust them to fly an aircraft. I mean, it is so low.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying, I'm not
I'm just
here,
like, all right, I've never had a breathalyzer, so.
No, but like the average person at 0.08 is pretty fine. I mean, I think it's a great legal threshold. But what I was going to say is, so
That-
let's imagine this guy's at a 0.16 or whatever. He's pretty messed up, but then he takes a couple shots, right? That's going to take 45 minutes to reach his bloodstream or to start reaching his bloodstream. And then, you know, the roommate would have a more valid case. He's like, look, you were incoherent. You were unable to sleep. I thought you were like losing your head, and I called the ambulance on you. And that actually brings me to the next point, which is, wouldn't you call an Uber? I thought we were done with ambulances.
Well, I just think the roommate like did the technical right thing, even though his judgment ended up being wrong. But what I was trying to get at in the group was like, I think they all still behaved kind of carelessly under the guise of like caring about someone.
Well, what does that mean? What was careless about this?
So they kind of pushed this guy. It's like, you're so concerned that he's dying. No one goes to the hospital with him. You push him out the door without his keys or his wallet or anything. Like, you're supposed to give ID to the hospital also. Like, you can't just walk. I mean, you can just walk in there, but like,
in the ambulance though?
What do you mean?
Like, you can't just go like, hey, I'll go.
No,
with
you
him.
could follow them.
Yeah,
though.
but they were all drunk.
It doesn't say that.
Well, you know, realistically,
They probably weren't as drunk as he was. But yeah, that's a good point. I feel like
And
if
then
they
none
really
of them
cared,
are even home when they know this guy.
Yeah.
That was like, I literally just said that. I didn't even say like, oh, this guy's not the asshole, because I was like, don't you think it's kind of shitty of the roommates to like know that your roommate was in the hospital and like, you guys aren't going to be home? And I got this like flood of angry comments that were like, it's not my responsibility to miss work, miss class because my roommate can't hold his alcohol. I'm like, yeah, but you guys were like concerned he was dying, but the buck stops there. Like, that's it. You're like, as long as I don't have a felony on my hands, I'm
Right.
good. Like,
it just sounds
all
like,
right.
It sounds like they were just trying to get rid of the situation. They were like, I don't want to deal with this.
I think you're painting a very strong picture of an everyone sucks here. I do have another point to make. If it wasn't, though, going back to slightly defending the roommate's calling of an ambulance, I would think that the medics and the ambulance, if he wasn't that messed up, I don't think they would force him to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I mean,
right? They'd be like, here's some saline or whatever, dog.
I
Like,
mean, yeah,
you're
it's
fine.
definitely also better safe than sorry. Like, I'm not going to call this guy an asshole for wanting to keep his roommate alive. But I don't know.
Well, no, but I think you undermined a lot the potential positive motives of that, because it's like, if it was so important, he would have gone along or done a little.
I'm
Showed
just
a little
trying
more
to point
care.
everything out.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
don't
on
know.
point.
I think there's a lot of like sketchiness here.
Karen H says, YTA, it can be very easy to misjudge how bad off a very drunk person is, especially if those around you are drunk also. That's a good point. Their judgment's impaired. Additionally, like someone said above, if they didn't call and you died, there's a risk for your roommates facing felony charges that can potentially include jail time for negligence. A G's $1,000 sucks, and yes, it sucks we have to deal with that at all, but they're not the asshole for looking out for you and themselves. I think that's a pretty good point, but I am kind of stuck on what you said, Sarah. There was no follow through here to indicate this was about caring in any real way.
I'm like, you guys are, and they're like, oh, well, it's just your roommate and not your friend. And so that's why I'm like, y'all are wild. Like, even if that's not technically wrong, that's not nice either.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I'm not drinking with you guys.
What a monster. Haley
Yeah.
J says YTA
ESH.
and also an alcoholic.
No, fuck that.
No, it's
I'm
ridiculous.
like, there's so many people on Reddit who are just like, oh, you blacked out one time. Like, you're an alcoholic, seek help immediately. I'm like, you guys
Oh
are
my
either
God.
lying or you just have never been in like society or watched a
Yeah.
college movie.
It takes a yeah.
Well, isn't that, I mean, and Carmen, you could speak to this. Isn't kind of getting like fucked up and blasted and shit? That's a little bit American, isn't it? I mean, I thought the Irish.
I mean,
yeah.
in Spain, I mean, I've been around a lot of drunk people in Spain, but also they don't immediately label it as you have a drinking problem. They're just like,
Right.
you know, wine is so cheap out there. It's just a thing. It's like water. You
I
know?
guess I kind of had this impression that Europeans drank young, right? Because you
Yeah.
can drink when you're like 16. So there's less of a culture in like American colleges where you're like getting blackout, you know,
well,
beer
I mean,
pong.
just
all
like
these,
anything else, when it's taken away from you or it's like looked as taboo, you want to do it even more.
so does that ring with you a little bit that Americans go a little crazier on the booze?
Yeah. Well, we also have like fraternities and all these
Right.
other things that like, you know, make people want to drink more. And they just drink it all the time. So it just kind of feels like more like a social thing versus a rebellious
Right.
thing.
Top Reddit comment by Shrimp OD. So this guy's apparently OD'd on shrimp, which that's a lot of shrimp. Writes, you're American, I presume. Your healthcare system is the asshole.
Okay, we can agree. That's fine.
Yes, it is quite unfortunate how it works. Top comment by Nut Michelle says, YTA, don't get so wasted that you can't take care of yourself and things like this don't happen. Your roommate isn't an asshole for caring about your health and safety.
Okay, counterpoint. Are you the asshole for like being salty that you got stuck with $1,000 bill that you didn't intend to have? You know?
What do you mean? You're saying that he's this
the guy
pissed?
is not. Yeah,
is
I
inappropriate?
mean he's pissed. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's. First of all, I don't think it's rare that someone's like feelings are inappropriate. This guy's not so far taking it out on the roommate, demanding the roommate pay half of the bill. I'm like, yeah, I would kind of be salty too, even if like. Even if I wasn't going to do anything about it.
Yeah, he didn't actually really do it.
But like internally, yeah, I would feel salty.
I mean, I would be pissed as the drunk guy, but I also as the other guy, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm not paying for
well,
your
he's
bill.
not demanding that too. It's like there's like no stakes here. He's just mad, but he's not demanding anything.
Yeah.
Like he would totally be the asshole if he tried to demand any kind of payback from the roommate.
Also, $1,000 seems relatively cheap
for an ambulance,
system,
right? I know.
I honestly thought it was $500. I didn't know it was $1,000.
Right?
Oh my God.
And a night in a hotel? I thought hospital. Whatever. I was thinking about that when I was in the hospital. I was like, hospitals are pretty much motel quality, and they don't cost motel prices.
Nope.
They don't have any.
Could be
nice
at the W
art.
for this much money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna die, go to the freaking Four Seasons. Save some money.
You're right.
Well, I think I'm curious actually how we're going to land on this. AITA for being livid at my roommate for calling me an ambulance. I'm going to drop an everyone sucks here because Sarah, you sold me on this point that this wasn't about caring, and I think Carmen put it beautifully. They wanted to get rid of this guy. And, I think he's an asshole for getting too drunk. You know how I feel about alcohol. That's a big fat ESH for me.
Yeah. I guess I'm torn between that and no assholes here because then I'm like, on the one hand, I would be mad too. On the other hand, the roommate is not wrong for not wanting his other roommate to die. So I don't know.
I could see it as no assholes here, but I like calling people assholes. So I'm going to go with everybody.
We're going to bring you on board, Sarah?
I mean, sure. Yeah.